If you're 100% booked on Airbnb, you're actually losing money. That's right, you're throwing money in the trash. Stop doing that. Let's make you more money here on the Fearless Investor channel and talk about pricing strategies. You're gonna wanna comment on this one. I know you've got some thoughts. Make sure you do that. Guys, I hear this one all the time, and people are bragging about being 100% booked and booked 3, 4, 5, 6 months into the future. And the fact of the matter is, when you have all those bookings, sure, it might give you this like really good feeling and you get that dopamine shot because you see that notification on your Airbnb phone and it says you got a new booking. But at the end of the day, if you're getting booked 3, 6 months in advance and you're 100% filled up for any given month, you're likely losing money. Let me tell you a story about why I'm so sure, confident, and passionate about this subject, and it's exactly this. When I first got started, I listed my place on Airbnb. In the first 30 days, my next 90 days were already booked out. Guess what? I was only listing that place for $60 a night. It was a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath. What I found out was that if I jumped it up to $100, people were still booking. So here's the numbers on this. If we have a place, let's just call it a 3-bedroom. If we have a place that we're at 100% occupancy at $100 per night, right? That is $3,000 for the month. But if we take that same place and we go $150 and we only get about an 80% occupancy, which is roughly about 24 nights, what's the actual rate on that? That's actually $3,600. So if we're making that money and we still have 6 days left to book, what could we also do? Well, we could take those 6 days that were vacant and say, well, maybe now we can go ahead and try to get those last 6 days booked at $100. And let's say we only get 3 of them booked out. Multiply that by 3 days. That's another $300. Add those two together, you're at $3,900. And you're about, call it 90% booked instead of 100% booked. This is how we make, look at this, this is an extra $900 compared to this one. So what I call this is the Vase Effect or the Vase strategy, whatever you want to call it. It's my first tip to you today. So I've got basically 4 pricing strategies I want to talk about today. The first one is our vase. So if you can kind of picture it, we have this vase and we're going to call this vase 1 month on Airbnb. All right, that's what the vase represents. And as I mentioned, okay, let's just call it our $150 per nights. We're gonna call those the rocks that we're putting in the vase. And those rocks are representing large chunks of our nights that get booked. So if we do this all together, and we say, okay, each one of these represents 150, 150, 150, okay? We still have all these little gaps, right? So this is our 24 nights. If we essentially look at these rocks, they filled up about 80% of this vase. But then we can do this little drizzle effect, which is our $100 nights, and it can fill in these gaps with sand. So we got the rocks, and then the red is the sand. If you can kind of picture that, we drop sand into a vase filled with rocks, they're gonna kind of trickle down and fill up these bottom parts. So this is what I call the vase effect, and this is how you wanna price your things out. You wanna aim for high rates further in advance that are going to really fill up a lot of your calendar. So I'll give you a really good example. If I have someone that's trying to book, call it 2 months ahead of time, I don't want them to book one night. Because if they book one night 2 months in advance, what happens is that calendar is now going to be blocked for anyone that's looking to book for 5 nights, 7 nights, maybe even 30 nights at a top rate price. So I essentially, by having a 1 night minimum, I blocked any opportunity for someone to come in and be one of my rock bookings. And I've just started to get my sand bookings, and that's not what we want to do. We want to get the rocks first and then the sand to trickle that in. So that's my first one. The second one that we're going to talk about is high demand. So if we have a high demand season, high demand weekend, what do we want to do with that? Well, it's simple supply and demand, right? If we have low supply and high demand, we want to jack up the prices. So all of your holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, spring break. Maybe you have a festival coming into town every single year. One of the ones that we have here in Clovis is the Clovis Rodeo. We're jacking up all the prices. In Phoenix, we've got, spring training. Holy cow, all of March, everything is just going through the roof. So that's our second one. We're gonna talk about how you can kind of make sure you're not missing those here in a second, but that would be something that if you wanna do, just look on an events calendar, Google your city plus events calendar for that year, you could start to look at what that might be. The third one is we're gonna do some longer term discounts. So here's what I mean by this. Not a lot. We're talking maybe 3 to 5%. So again, it goes back to this mindset of the Vase versus this mindset of being 100% booked. A lot of people will say, I'm gonna give this is what conventional thinking is gonna do, guys. Don't do the conventional thing. They're gonna say, I'm gonna do a 15 to maybe even 30% discount. And that goes back to this mindset. We wanna go 3 to 5% because it's going to help us get into these numbers. And here's what I mean by that. There's an algorithm on Airbnb. If we have a small discount, call it for 7 nights at 3%, or 28 to 30 nights at 5%, what it's gonna do is it's gonna show us higher in the algorithm because we have that discount field in there. It doesn't necessarily see how much the discount is, it just shows, okay, you're giving a discount, and for that reason, it's gonna favor us in the algorithm. Plus, if we're only giving 3 to 5% on the discounts, well then, if you do the numbers, we're still getting that high price like this $3,600. Let's even take $3,600 and multiply it by 95%. And I don't have my calculator in front of me, but that really probably ends up being only about $3,500 instead of $3,600. But I'm still way above this $3,000 mark. So I'm still getting these types of prices. So that's the third one. The fourth one is going to be our additional fees. So, when it comes to additional fees, we've got pet fees, we've got early check-ins, we've got, our cleaning fees, accessories and amenities. All right, there's all sorts of things that we can do that once we have that Airbnb guest in our house, we can control what they get. So I've heard of people offering cooking, I've heard of people selling their art, I've heard of people offering bikes and accessories like that are gonna be on a lock, and the only way to get it is by getting the code to them, and they have to Venmo you $20 in order to get that. So once we have control of the guests, we can create other sources of income that will allow us to go from $3,900 up to $4,200 and beyond. And this is why, I love getting pet fees. And here's the thing, I actually advertise on Airbnb that we have a no pet policy. But if you think about it, when people are looking for a place and everyone has a no pet policy and they really like your place, what are they gonna do? They're still gonna message you and say, hey, do you have, I know you have a no pet policy, but do you have any exceptions? And we'll say, well, what kind of pets? It looks like you have good reviews. Okay, we'll make an exception, $100 per pet. They bring in 2 pets, we just made an extra $200 and we were able to pre-screen them a little bit. Now, I know plenty of people who just say, let's just go ahead and accept pets no matter what. Just make sure your cleaning team is ready to do that. So again, we're looking to get those longer term and higher price ones. That's our Vase type of strategy. Then we're getting high demand, high prices, longer term discounts to fill up that calendar and to still stay in those high price areas. And that's just an algorithm play. And then lastly, the additional fees to fill in some of those, bringing it from $3,900 to $4,200. Now, the great thing is just about everything I've shown here, and this is your bonus, can be done with Price Labs. And Price Labs, if you go down to the bottom of this video, in the description, you're gonna see a link to Price Labs. When I started using Price Labs, I saw a 15% increase in my nightly rate, in my overall income, and I was, instead of spending about 30 minutes a day on my calendar, I was spending about 30 minutes a week on my calendar. And so it saved me time, it made me more money, it is an absolute no-brainer as long as you can have a little bit of patience of learning the technology, which by the way, I show you how to use it in a couple different videos. Use it. Go down, get your 30-day free trial started. If you sign up with that free trial, the CEO of Price Labs has even given you a free training as a thank you for signing up with that link. And you can automate this entire pricing system and fill in those gaps, fill in the orphan days, get those high demand, get those low demand days filled up as well. And that is really, to me, the number one play that you can do right here is implement all 4 of these things into Price Labs, and you'll be winning. This has been the pricing strategies here on the Fearless Investor channel. Make sure you're subscribed, and again, I want to hear those comments. We'll see you next time.